Hi, friends. Happy Wednesday. It is wonderful to be here with you. Welcome to today's live level up conversation. Whether you're tuning in live or catching me on replay, I'm excited to be joining with you as we head into the middle of December. Welcome to the show. Welcome to live level up. Let's get started.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market update. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hello, friends. I'm Winnie Sun, your host, an award-winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member. It is wonderful to be joining you. Let me just say, Wednesdays are kind of special. If you didn't know already, Wednesdays is also when we do the hashtag Winnie Sun tweet chat, which happens right on X or Twitter, however you like to refer it to. We actually host a one of the largest business tweet chats on social media most Wednesdays. And so this Wednesday, we're going to have it in about it's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific if you're joining me on the West Coast, or 2 p.m. Eastern, or if you're on the East Coast. So we're talking about about half an hour away. So you can watch the show today and you can jump on Twitter and we can have a really fun conversation. It's going to be a really big one. And I'll definitely circle back and share with you that topic as we close up the show later today. So we are streaming here on many different social media platforms. So hello. I see Joshua CrossX Fighter joining us on YouTube. Always a treat to have you here. I truly appreciate all your support and sharing on social media. Let's kick it off and tell you how the market's doing. It's actually kind of a mixed day, but let me just say that it was actually worse before we started the show. So I guess we'll take it, right? Currently, the Dow is in positive territory, up 8. The Nasdaq, unfortunately, in negative territory, but just down 12. So hopefully that'll recover. And the S&P 500 is barely holding on to positive territory, up just 0.06, not even up a whole point. Oh, I spoke too soon. Now it's in negative territory, but we're going to circle back before the end of the show. We'll see how it improves and if it gets better before the end of the show. Hopefully, fingers crossed, right? Now, one story I want to kick it off today is a story that I think is just interesting, and that is on Blue Origin. Now, that word might sound familiar. The name might sound familiar to you. Well, Blue Origin is set to launch actually after a year-long hiatus. There haven't been that many shuttles going up. In fact, the company is planning an uncrewed test flight to the edge of space. That's right. So this new Shepard rocket was supposed to, go on probably a little bit sooner, but it had previously suffered an engine failure in 2022. Now, this flight is scheduled for next week. It's going to be carrying 33 science payloads. And, Blue Origin has identified and said that they really have worked hard to address, the previous failure issues. They've been working really hard to try, and they want to make sure that they get a flight in before the end of 2023. So, as you know, the capsule and the payloads did land safely before, but the rocket booster, of course, was lost. Now, the company will continue development of this new Glenn rocket, and Jeff Bezos, who, as you know, previously flew on New Shepard's first flight. This actually occurred in 2021, and unlike the one that's happening, now, the first one in 2021 did include people on that flight. In addition to Jeff Bezos also, I believe he also brought his brother with him as well. Now, Virgin Galactic continues, of course, on its space tourism flights now during this time when Blue Origin was grounded. Now, the Blue Origin is really focusing on what they're saying are going to be launching satellites for Amazon's different systems. The company also has contracts with SpaceX and different satellite launches. So something to watch. I'm sure it's going to hit the news, but let's see how well this, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this flight ends up safe and sound, and then that, more space exploration into the future. Now, speaking of all things like moving, transportation, all that, this is a story that I would love to share with you because I really want to see how you feel about this. Joshua, let me know what you think. I see a lot of friends on all the different platforms, so jump in. This one I think is pretty cool. So what do you think about this? That your car in the future might not let you drive drunk. That's right. So, US auto safety regulators are starting a process that will encourage, if you will, different car makers to adopt new technology that will prevent you from driving your car if you are intoxicated. Now, US Congress has mandated the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA for short, and they want the safety standard to occur as early as next year in November of 2024. They're saying this should be a new safety standard for cars. We know that you're focused on electric power and you're focused on making them look cool and be cool and all these other features, but we want some more unique safety features. So, this potential technology will include a breathe or even a touch based sensor that will detect whether or not you have alcohol levels in your system. It's also going to help monitor eye movements through different cameras. They just want to make sure the NHTSA wants to ensure that technology is going to be effective, of course, before mandating it, but they also want to make sure that automakers are really focused on this. They're going to have at least 3 years to implement it once rules are finalized. So I think that's really good. The Mothers Against Drug Driving organization, MAD, if you will, has said that this is something they think is absolutely necessary. And they think it's going to be important to address, of course, the issue of people driving while they're drunk. I don't know about you, but I don't feel like there should be any controversy about this. I am hoping not so. I think we can all agree that driving a motor vehicle is like moving around with a, let's say, a potentially deadly weapon, right? So we want to make sure that people are aware and they're lucid and they're clear. And I think we can all agree, like maybe, that short drive that you shouldn't be under the influence. I think it's a good thing, right? Vicky is saying this is good news. CrossX Fighter is saying this is great news. I think this is great news. Yes, use technology for good. And I think this is hopefully something that everyone can agree on and doesn't become. Can we just hope that this doesn't become a controversial issue that people need to negotiate and, become like crazy, like what they did with like some other issues that we're seeing today being hatched out in the court system. Anyway, in 2021, we know that alcohol impaired driving contributed to over 13,000 deaths here in the United States. So I think we can all agree that if technology can help avoid even a percentage of that, that's certainly a win. I mean, I'm totally great with having that in my car. I would be totally comfortable with. I do hope it is like skin or finger touch, because I do think like every day having to use breath. I mean, unless it's really easy, maybe it's like just like speech recognition and you just sort of speak into it. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. But let's hope that that is the case. And I want to share that story. But here is, of course, speaking of alcohol, let's go to the next story. And this is about Doritos. That's right, Doritos, the nacho chips. You probably had a lot of them when you were in your high school years. I certainly did. But what about a Doritos cocktail? Now, you probably aren't going to want to do this, have a cocktail if you're going to be driving, of course. But Doritos is launching a new spirit inspired, believe it or not, by its nacho cheese flavor. This is in partnership with another Danish company. This limited edition spirit, if you will, is described as, they're saying, it's going to feel like you're eating or tasting Doritos, and it's going to be available exclusively online. It's going to be priced at $65 for a 750 milligram bottle. Now, I want to see what you think about this. Now, full disclosure, I don't really drink much, right? But for those of you who maybe do enjoy the occasional drink now and then, how do you feel about having a Doritos flavored beverage, cocktail, whatever you call it? Would you want to have this at your holiday table this year, or maybe for New Year's. I don't know. So this is going to be, obviously there's been a lot of companies that have created very unusual and sort of food adjacent products. I think a lot of times I feel like this is like to just build up social media buzz. Of course, it's very it's very productive because we're talking about it on the show. It increases obviously brand recognition. You would never have thought that Doritos would come up with this type of um, item. They're calling it sort of vacuum distillation, preserving the flavor of the nacho chips. Like it has all this new terminology, but this flavor they're saying will have the umami and tangy aromas of nacho cheese, followed by corn forward flavors and just that little bit of soft, salty finish. Ugh. But I'm still curious to see what you think. Vicky says, "Yeah, I just much rather have the chip." I think I'm with you. I feel like the Doritos chip is pretty close to perfect for a nacho chip, right? So maybe just like stick with that. But if you're gonna do that, they are recommending that you mix this spirit with tequila, and to create cocktails like you know, the ones that you would think would go with tequila and maybe with some ice. This is what they're suggesting. I'm just curious to see how you feel. It's probably not gonna make, my holiday shopping list, but it's interesting. It certainly is interesting. All right. So my next two stories I want to deal with is something that, of course, we dealt with a little bit on our show last week, but it's a big, big topic. And this is, of course, the world of travel. And so Google Travel is really going all in on their AI technology. And so this made the news. There's another company called Booking Holdings, and Booking, of course, does ads, and Booking, the company itself, benefits from a lot of Google's referrals on travel, but they're really concerned. They're saying that Google could potentially launch a next generation travel assistant, and that travelers would actually never use, or they're not sure if travelers would then use Booking's tools. But I thought this was an interesting story simply because it talks about where Google is going and the power of Google and all their technology and their engineers and all their brain trust, and just how quickly they can take over certain industries and certain companies just by sheer size, right? So companies such as Booking, for example, has always done travel advertising. They've obviously been they're actually one of the largest online travel agencies, and yet because of Google's stretch and reach and interest now in building tools for areas such as travel AI, they can completely get rid of one of the largest travel agencies in the world. So I mean, I think that's the point of the story. It's just the sheer size and how quickly AI is growing. Now, you could say, I've heard AI left and right, Winnie. We've heard on the show, we talked about it on the show quite a bit. Like, is it more of a trend, or is it more like, oh, wow, my company has AI? I think there's definitely an element of that. There's a lot of small, mid-sized businesses I've been hearing and seeing emails from touting their AI tools and features and whatnot. But I think we can't discount the fact that a lot of these larger companies like the Googles and NVIDIA and whatnot are saying, like, let's see how far these tools can take us. So yeah, the impact of the story is interesting because it's also talking about ongoing lawsuits and antitrust regulatory initiatives against companies like Google for its monopoly or dominance in areas such as search and everything else. So we'll see, like, how do you maintain competition while still letting those who can afford to push technology forward to be able to do so, to make it still much of an incentive for their companies to make that investment. And let's face it, it's a risk because you don't know how well it will do if you spend all this money building it. So that's something I wanted to share with you. And then my last story today is, of course, on the topic of international travel. Now, I don't know how many of you are going on international travel at the end of the year here near the holidays, but I certainly know many people are looking at this for 2024. I've heard a lot about that. Well, the International Air Transport Association, the IATA, is anticipating once a year a huge year for airline travel in the coming year. In fact, they're projecting net profits to reach, get this, $25.7 billion with of course, a profit from last year. And they're just saying that's just going to continue to be the case. Like 4.7 billion people are forecasted to travel in 2024. And I share that with you because, it's interesting to see where the demand in travel is. Of course, they're saying North America, the Middle East, Europe has contributed to much of the recovery in the airline sector. But they're saying that, these are areas where how big can it be? How much more profitable will it be? And will it come to a point where the travel experience for you and I when we travel to be better, to be safer, and to be more enjoyable? Yeah. So that just gives you an idea. It's just some of the sectors and industries that are really on the financial radar and business radar for the rest of the year and, of course, 2024. But that's what we've got for today's show. I'll have more, of course, for you later this week. Let's see how the market's doing. Currently, the Dow's up 5 points, Nasdaq's down 8, so that's a little bit improved, and the S&P 500 is now in the positive, up 1 point. So not huge, but we'll take it. And as a reminder, don't forget that we are going to be going into our tweet chat here in just 20 minutes. You can jump on Twitter and or X if you want to use X instead. Same company, different name. Join a Twitter or X, and then follow hashtag Winnie Sun. We'll be starting live, and we'll have lots to talk about in about 20 minutes here, right at the hour. We're featuring two powerhouses with us today: Marsha Collier, my dear friend, Los Angeles, and Erica Giovannetti. We're going to be talking about 'tis the season to spend wisely, how we can unwrap some consumer spending habits, and maybe give you some tips and tricks as you head and finish up your holiday shopping. And of course, making decisions on how you want to level up your personal finances in 2024. So I hope to see you there. But thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate all your feedback, your shares here. I see Vicky. Thank you so much for joining on Facebook Live, and so many friends. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Truly appreciate it. For more information, check out Level Up with Winnie Sun on NASDAQ and Yes Factor with Winnie Sun on Apple Podcasts and the LinkedIn Podcast Network. With that, take care. See you very soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.